Sorry about that. Short delay in getting audio set up. Um, yeah, so I was finishing dinner and I realized, oh my gosh, I need to hop on and stream, and I apologize. I was not adequately prepared. Um, I'm still sending out some notifications that the stream has started, and tonight is going to be really fun. Let me do an audio check here as well on the desktop audio. Yep, there we go. So yeah, tonight is going to be really fun. Well, let me not get ahead of myself. It might not be fun at all. But I'm going to enjoy it. But before we get into everything, I just wanted to point this out. If you're just now watching one of these for the first time, this is elegacorp.com. It has the latest stream schedule at all times there on the right. You have the latest blog posts there on the left. So don't forget to follow up and check that out. And if you want to support the show with merch, there is the link there. And you can also go to products and then go to Teespring to go to the Elega Corp merchandise store. This new blog article called The Future of Elega Corporation is pretty great. It's talking about the overall future direction of the company, and I am excited about that because basically this is about exploring things more at a low level and understanding things more at the level of computer science fundamentals, as opposed to working with lots of high-level tools. Because basically one of the things that's really worrisome that has been happening over time is that developers are becoming overly reliant on things like the Unity game engine, where you're writing C# code and no one's writing C or C++ anymore. But not only that, more and more people out there never write C or C++. There are even computer science degree programs that are dropping C and C++. There are a number of people who will never learn assembly, and they're not writing assembly. And, it's a problem because if you want to do this stuff for a living, the reality is that you have to learn that low-level stuff. You have to understand at a very detailed level how things work. And so, anyway, I highly recommend elegacorp.com. You can read that blog post, The Future of Elega Corporation. I talk about all of that, and I get into it at length. But this is a Kalling Kingdom development stream. So what is happening tonight with the game? So I've been working on the game a lot this week. Let me pull up Unity. And there is just so much left to do. So much. It's a little ridiculous how much there is. And I don't know what I was thinking, telling myself, hey, you know what? Let me get a game done in 4 months and it'll be great. Real quick, gotta take care of this. This is my sugar-free soda. I almost forgot the tradition of starting with the sugar-free soda because, when you're sitting for hours in coding, why do you need the calories, really? So the main menu here is temporary. This is some simple Unity buttons. The settings button is grayed out, and so what I'm going to do tonight is focus on getting it not grayed out or not disabled and putting something there. As it turns out, one of the first things that I'm going to do is work on audio settings and adjust volume and things of that nature. And when I started on this, it came to light that in order to get this done, I have to completely redo the way that all of the code that has been done so far around the sound, it just had to be completely redone. So there was a single C# class called Sound Manager, and I had to start working on that. Basically what I had to do is I had to gut the way that the code was referenced because of mono behavior. So mono behavior is this implementation, so there's mono, right? So the way that Unity works, and this has been true historically, at least to a large extent, they are starting to get away from it now a little bit because of some of its limitations, I think. But mono basically allows you to go cross-platform with C# or what previously was more commonly thought of as like .NET, right? Well, C# is .NET, but Microsoft is reinventing all of this terminology and stuff the more we go on. They don't have .NET Framework anymore. They're going to .NET Core, for example. But going forward, .NET Core will not be .NET Core anymore. It will just be .NET, period. And there will no longer be a difference between .NET Core and .NET Framework, which is not a surprise. But anyway, so mono allows you to go cross-platform, right? And there has been a very famous saying, if you've been working with the Unity game engine for a number of years, that there is no other thread in Unity other than the main game thread. You're always working with a single thread, and that's it. That's the end of it, all right? Turns out that that's never been kind of really completely true, or at least I don't think so. The reason for that is, what that really means is that you can't reference Unity engine or mono behavior components outside in other threads. However, what I believe has been possible for quite a long time is you could write your own sort of job system that would disperse work across multiple cores, run some calculations, and then return that back to the main thread. But there is a technicality there that remains true, which is that if you were to do that, you would still be dispersing across multiple cores, bringing it back to the main thread, and that whole process probably would have been kicked off by something like a Unity coroutine. And basically the way the coroutine works is it just says, well, I don't have to finish all of this inside of a single frame. I can yield back to the game loop, essentially, sort of, and when I yield back, I'll come back to it the next frame and do a little bit more processing and so on. And so what you could basically do, maybe, is you could write a coroutine that sends off the job, but then to send the job off, you would have to send it off in the form of primitives, things like strings or floats or whatever. And the way I like to describe it is you would have to vectorize whatever your information was. And you would have to be able to basically encode that information into primitives, send it out across the cores, and bring it back in, and then basically, be able to interpret whatever the data structure was that you sent out. There's basically a gap where it goes out across. Anyway, none of this matters anymore because now Unity has Entity Component System, and the Unity ECS is basically a way to say, yes, we do allow, under some particular circumstances, if you want to structure things in a particular way, in this supposed data-oriented way, we do allow you to do parallelized work that is pretty safe. And in fact, Unity is even now allowing you, because of various performance reasons and probably things that are competitive with Unreal Engine, they allow you to even be a little bit unsafe in some cases. But then when you are unsafe, their documentation makes sure to tell you, hey, this could be unsafe. Anyway, it's all a little ridiculous for reasons that I won't get into right now. I could actually talk about this particular thing for quite a while, but I won't. So, anyway, back to, oh my goodness, back to the original point at hand. What has to happen tonight? So I redid the audio code. I basically came back to how the audio is referenced, and let me bring up Visual Studio Code. So let me just explain I don't want to go through the entire thing of how I had to redo all this sound-related code. But the structure is getting a little wonky as time goes on. So I have a class called UI Manager, and there are a lot of different points throughout the UI code where it's actually calling the sound to make some sound effect. Okay. And so it sends it off to a queue. The queue gets pulled from the sound manager, and the sound manager plays the sound effect based on the name defined in the sound manager code. So in this case, I have a string that just says, hey, this is the click sound, and the sound manager basically just pulls that out of the queue somewhere down here and says, okay, by the way, this happens to be the only sound effect in the game currently, but that will change. And it says, okay, this is a click. Fair enough. I will set the click sound effect clip to the FX audio source, and then I will play the sound. Simple enough. Thing is, if you use mono behavior, it turns out that you put yourself under like a big pile of rubble once you want to get away from that, and you have to do something else, which is really interesting. So what I had to do that really led to all of this is we have the main menu, and I'm going to hit play, and you'll notice that there's sound, there's music, at least if everything works properly. Ah, yes, very nice music, by the way. Again, still all placeholder music currently, and this is an extremely boring main menu screen. It's really, I would say to a large extent, it's for the purposes of prototyping. Realistically, I might keep some of it, I might keep the text the same, I'll throw in a backdrop, I'll replace the buttons, and I'll make it look beautiful, and it'll work. But so we have music playing right now. What we're going to do tonight is, well, hopefully, is enable the ability to go into settings and adjust the volume settings on the music and sound effects. Simple enough, right? But then what happens is when I hit start new game, what's actually going on down here in the editor is I have sound manager down here. Sound manager is referencing all of the music and sound effects. And so when I start the new game, what it actually does is it changes the state and begins playing the in-game music. So we go from main menu to in-game, and when we do that, there's a bunch of things that change. There's also a number of problems that have to be resolved that I won't get into. However, while we're here, let me show you some things that have made progress. You'll notice we're starting with 500K, and when players see this, I don't want them to get confused, although I know that they probably will, but I don't really care. K is referencing the currency of the game. Sorry, I have to turn this volume down. That's a little crazy in my ear. K is the currency in Kalling Kingdom. So this is really, it's like saying you have $500, right? Or 500 euros or pesos or whatever. It's a currency. I don't know what we'll call it. Maybe we'll call it like callings. You have 500 callings. It's Kalling Kingdom. I don't know. You also may notice that there's been a lot of work that's been done like up here at the top. These are still fairly ugly little icons, but the main thing that is of note here is that I've gotten rid of the text that says stuff like current turn and people and cash. Those are not words anymore. Those are icons. It's visual communication to the player. And I like this a lot better. Not only is it more dense, where I can fit more in through visual communication, but it also just works a lot better in general because I think it conveys more that is nonverbal, and it leaves the player upon their first playthrough to really wonder, what are these things and what can I do? And I'm wondering if this experience works. So there's like a kind of this blank canvas that if you've seen any of the previous streams, you've seen many times before. And then you have these things up here at the top. There's really not much else for the player to interpret at that point. So then the next thing for the player to do is to basically click around maybe, and say, oh gosh, can I do anything on this big green space? No. Is the game broken? I don't know. But then the next thing they'll do is they'll probably go up here to the top. So a lot of these are going to be disabled initially. You can go to people off the bat. You can go to money off of the bat. You will not be able to go to people in business, and you cannot go to, well, I guess you can go to build. So you can go to build. You can't go to people in business, which is fine. Okay, so this is going to be disabled. I haven't done that yet. So you can build stuff off the bat, and by the way, we have like an updated little farm graphic. There's still a lot of work I need to do on that, so don't pay too much attention to that. But at least this is now, the farm is now different than all the other prototype graphic sprites that are strewn out here. Yes, the plan is to have all the buildings look different. Yes, that's the plan. I'm doing it, okay? I'm getting there. Anyway, so then I have the money, okay? And this is a brand new mechanic since the last stream, and I've been working on it all week. Basically, the way that it works is you can invest in the market, kind of like in the real world, the closest comparison to this would be stocks, or even closer to that would be like investing in a mutual fund, and you get a rate of return back on your money over the course of different turns. The market also fluctuates up and down, which means that if you invest in the market, it may be possible to lose money, it may be possible to gain money. Actually, at the moment, you'll basically always, right now, you'll basically never lose money. And the market is a really important part of the game. It turns out that, in the initial prototype, you had basically like two main systems that mattered. So one was to attract people to the town. I can build buildings, and then I can, change the scale there. I can build buildings, and then I can offer cash and bring people to the town that way. And that's if they accept the offer. Okay, so I can do that, right? And I can build buildings. I'm going to build a stable because it's the cheapest thing. And I'll match that person up with the stable. Match, okay. So I was only able to click into business and people once I had built the building and added the person. And that's intentional. By the way, this whole thing needs to be redone anyway. But now that we've added this market system, things are getting a lot more interesting because, before we said businesses generate income, I offer cash and I spend cash on building buildings and getting people. Now I can also invest in the market. Okay. So let me demonstrate. So I'm going to add basically a lot of my money into the market. Okay, I'm gonna do 320, and you only start with 500 at this point. So I'm going to say invest, and now it's immediately in the investment. Now, if I'm inside the turn, if I want to, I am able to click back and go back to the full amount that I had invested. I can basically cancel the transaction in the market. I can do that if I want. But I'm not going to do that. So I want to reset that to 0 because I don't want to do that. And currently, I don't think it automatically resets to 0. I haven't done that yet, whenever you close it out. But, so we have 320, we have a rate of return of 3%. Okay, so that's not great. However, it's going to be a lot better than the base income per turn of 5. Now, that's not counting the effect of the market. And I'm going to update this as well. But now I have the stable generating income a little bit, and hopefully the market investment will pay off as well as I advance to the next turn. Also notice that I have, instead of, if you've watched the previous streams, there was like person and then like a random number. That's no longer there. There are people names now, so that when you go and you browse through people, they have names that are in line with the fantasy lore, including Friend Treen, which sounds very, very close to the town of Tren, but not quite. And by the way, these are randomized. So every game, the first and the last names are basically split up. There's a lot of different combinations of names that can come out of the different possibilities. And I might add more names as time goes on. But it's really interesting that there are these names here as opposed to like person blah, blah, blah. Because it feels different. Whenever you see someone's actual name there, that already has a slightly different effect than just seeing some like junk, game test data, basically. Okay, so there's not much else I can do. I'm going to go ahead and advance to the next turn. Okay. Shows that I spent 466. I spent a ton. But if I go back into the market, some of my money has already started earning a return. And what is this? The rate of return went from 3% to 5%. Very interesting. And my expenses on the turn were 10. Okay, and so I still need to add basically a UI panel for breaking down expenses as well as manipulating some of the expenses, because that should have an effect as well. But when you think about it, each one of these individual things that gets added into this mix, each one of these are different systems. So there's a few different systems that are like already kind of visible that need to be adjusted. One is expenses. I will do that fairly soon. Another is the income per turn right here, which this needs to be updated to affect changes in the market. And and lastly, I would say that because it's not really possible at the moment for you to lose money in the market, I do want to enable that. So the idea being that, you know, your chief focus as a player to mitigate your risk should be to get businesses built and to get cash flow working. Because occasionally you may have a market crash. And if you have a market crash and it takes several turns to recover from the crash, well, you've probably, you know, if it's near the end of the game, you've basically lost all that money. Long term, if you do an investment early and you let it hang in, you can probably gain a pretty decent return. It's kind of like investing in your retirement, like a 401k or something like that. Anyway, so let me hit next turn. And I'm only basically losing about 6. Income shows negative 12. I forget what I did to affect that. But anyway, so back to the market. So you can see that the rate of return is going up, and my current investment has also yielded a little bit of return. I'm going to actually sell off some of what I have invested. I think we'll go to like 35 just to keep things running. And I'll keep that investment in, because what we've seen the past few turns is that the rate of return is continuing to go up. Do I have enough? I don't really have enough to build anything else. I'm going to hit next turn. Okay. Income 23. Whoa. Interesting, right? It's because I sold that money off of the market. So even though I didn't have cash flow, I was still able to earn enough to cover expenses into net positive based off of the market investment. And by the way, there's been a lot of work that's been done over the past like week or 2 weeks on balance as well. I've altered all of these numbers. So, you know, like if I want to build something, you notice that like the weapons maker and the restaurant and the farm, these are all a tenth of what they were previously. So these have all jumped down by 10 times what they were, because what I found is that it was basically just impossible with the initial numbers that I had punched into the game design document for everything to work. But anyway, so this is making a lot more sense now. Let me check on the market. So we're up to 347. Rate of return is still going up. So we're currently at 8%. I'm going to keep going with this. Next turn. Okay. 378. Next turn. What's the rate of return now? 9%. 9% rate of return. It's still going up. So the market is still trending up. So I'm going to hit next turn. And you notice I've only built one building so far. I only have one person in the town. So let's say continue. Okay. 10% rate of return right now. I only have 45 here. So you can imagine that as I continue to build out the systems, that things will get problematic because I'm going to start throwing in surprises to the player. So after I kind of put in the initial systems that I described a short while ago, the next goal is, you know what, I want to start having events. Things like monster attacks, things like natural disasters, or other potential things that could happen to the town. Or people in your town are coming to you with things that they need, and you can choose what to do about them. And the implications of your decisions may carry on for several turns. Zombie Vader in the chat says, what's up? Hey, what's up? Welcome back. And you know, by the way, in the chat, I always see a lot of the same familiar names that pop in. I have a few regulars, I know that. But I don't ever hear from you. So I want to encourage all of you who are watching, who are there in the chat, please fire away with questions or commentary, because I'm trying to get this thing done within like 6 weeks. It may not happen, but the current release that I want to make happen is the end of July. But at the same time, if you're watching this and you experience any doubts, this is a perfect opportunity while we're live for me to like address those and to maybe make some different decisions based on the feedback, right? So anyway, feel free to participate in the chat is all I'm saying. I do watch it and I do respond. Okay, so where are we? Rate of return 10%. By the way, isn't this awesome? Like, we're just playtesting now. Like, there's every stream we get more and more to the point where we can just like play a game. And like, I've already gone through 30 minutes, and yeah, I'm talking and I'm describing things, but at the same time, we're also just kind of playing. It's kind of cool. Okay, so current investment 415. I like the compound interest effect that we have going on here, and the market seems to be doing pretty well. So I'm going to go to next turn, check on the money, still a 10% rate of return. We're up to 456. I'm still cutting it close with only 39 in cash. I'm going to go to next turn. We're at 33. Let me check on the market. 10% still. Current investment 501. So we are raking in cash. And this is an interesting strategy because it basically means that, you know, if you're willing to sacrifice or to take a risk throughout maybe early parts of turns and you can yield a little bit of the benefit of that compound interest, you may be able to deal better with some of the surprises that I'm going to be throwing the players' way later on. Okay, so I'll hit next turn. All right, so I'm at 549. Oh, but the rate of return is going back down now. We went from 10 to 9%. I'm not sure where this is going to go. Well, actually I am. I know exactly where it's going to go because I built it. But if you're the viewer or you're the player, maybe you don't know, right? Okay, so we're at 549. I think I can get one more turn in before I need to really start worrying about the baseline expenses. And currently I don't have any of those mechanics I was talking about putting in, like monster attacks. So I don't need to worry about the town getting destroyed, all right? I'm just testing the numbers right now. Okay, so I'll hit next turn. Okay, so we're at 596. I think I can get one more in. One more. 15. Okay, now I really do need to start selling, and my rate of return is back down to 7%. So let me get this money back, and we've gotten a pretty good yield. We'll keep about 40 in there. But now I have 615, so I'm up from the original game by a building. So I have a stable generating baseline income of 5 per turn, affected, of course, by the market. And then I also have one person who's managing the business. But I have a lot of money now, so I can start building some extra stuff. So I'm going to add one more stable. By the way, there are going to be build limits. Right now, it doesn't stop you from building like whatever count of buildings that you want to, but later it will. Okay, so let me match this other person up with the stable. So for example, like if I wanted to, I could just keep building stables, but that totally kind of breaks the game because stables basically they earn about the same amount of money as a farm, but they cost less. So what that means is that you really want to have to you want to find a balance. You want to start building a foundation with like a couple stables, and then you're not allowed to have more than 2. And then you want to start building out some farms, and then you want to work up to your hotel and your restaurant and your weapon maker. And if you're really, really amazing, there are times when you may be able to build multiple hotels, restaurants, and weapon makers. But the idea is that it's supposed to be really difficult to get to the upper tier buildings. And then, of course, there's other things to worry about as well, in addition to just how much money you have and what you're building. Okay, so I'm going to put a farm down. And the idea behind this is to get the baseline cash flow going higher. Let me see if I can get someone for 50. There we go. And I'll match them to the farm. There we go. Tanyasin Karobi is the farmer. Okay. I think I can get one more. I'll do one more person and one more farm. I'm just playing the game. I have 25 minutes to do the sound stuff now. Because this is, well, generally it's a 1 hour stream. I may go longer tonight. I actually, yeah, I might, because I don't have as much to get to. By the way, another thing that needs to be done is you can basically build over any of the sprites. And this is, look at this. This is kind of broken. So I need to work on that as well. It needs to be so that you can't build over existing buildings. And I also want to restrict people from building on the edges, and they shouldn't be able to build up here, obviously. But right now, that's broken. So I will fix that as well. That's just one of those things that continues to be on the to-do list. I could really come up with better names for my farms, and that's part of the idea, is that I want the players to... I want to see if the players will get creative about whatever they name their businesses. Okay. Oh gosh. I have too many people. Let me match people up. Match. So I have one more. I'll put this person on an existing business. They're gonna go help, they'll help Tanyasin Karobi on the farm. Hervale Maston. Match. Okay. So now the farm has 2 employees. It's generating baseline income of 6 per turn instead of 5. Okay. So I should be able to get some decent cash flow if the market is doing okay. We have a rate of 7%. If we're on our way, well, I mean, we're on our way down right now, so we may see the businesses suffer as a result. Oh, no, not bad. We still get 17 off of the businesses. And we also yielded some, obviously, some money from the amount that we got off of the selling what we had invested in the market. So it's pretty good, pretty good. So I think that gives you a general idea of where the current build is. This is like the farthest that it's ever gotten, and it's got some ways to go. You can currently win the game by getting to the end of 60 turns, if you want to call that winning. And of course you can lose the game if you run out of money. So let me actually do that right now, because I want to show you that it's broken. I'm just going to go next turn until I'm out of money. Saved by the market. I can't run out of money. Oh no. I have too much cash flow. So you can actually go negative. Oh gosh, I got to the end. Wow. Okay, so I need to adjust that. That balance is broken. Well, I think it will be adjusted. As I put in the other things that you have to deal with, it's going to affect you in such a way that it will be much easier to lose, I think. But anyway, so that gives you a general idea of where things are at. Okay, so let me go back. Gosh, it's like a game now. It's crazy. Okay, so I'm gonna stop playing. I've had enough fun. Let me get into the sound stuff now. So basically the way that I had begun all that is that the sound manager carries in from scene to scene. It starts the main menu, it goes back into the in-game instance, and then when you go back to the main menu, it has to basically come back in if that's what the player does. Okay, so how to make any of this work? So what I'm going to do, I guess I'm going to make some variables. I'm going to say music volume. I'll set this to 1 out of the gate, public float. Sound effects volume. I'll set this to 1. Save. And I need to go into here. Interactable. Settings is interactable now. And I need to make a panel for this. Oh my gosh. And there's a lot of other things that need to happen too. So the panel, when I create the panel, it has to pop up here, and I also need a way for that same access to happen in game as well, in case they get into the next scene and realize I still don't like the volume levels. I still want to adjust them. But I think I'll just start with the UI panel for right now. Yeah, let me do that. Game object, UI panel. I'll make this opaque. And I'm just going to make this brutally simple, honestly. Just make it kind of like a dark gray. It's fine. UI text. I wonder if this is like a good way for this to work. If I come up here and adjust this. Need to make this white. Make the text larger. Settings. And I'm going to add some sliders. Add some other text. Should align this way. You know, there are so many things visually that bother me about this game right now. There are a lot of things about it that I think are ugly, which is okay. But I will say that it's really incredible the work that was done on Unity's UI system. This is they did not always have this, the ability to utilize this, and it has, I think it has probably paid tremendous dividends for developers. You know, if I had to guess, it's pretty amazing that they have it. So we're going to call this music volume text. This is sound effects volume text, and this is sound effects volume. And this is the sound effects volume slider. This is the music volume slider. And I need a save button. I'm going to copy a button from, I know what I'm going to do. Save. I'm going to go into the game and grab one of these. And amazingly, when I go back to the main menu scene, I believe it will just copy straight over. Yep, it does. Pretty amazing. And obviously, instead of cell, I want it to say save. There we go. And I'll also put a second one over here. That says reset. And all of this needs to kind of move down. It's not parented properly. So this is the settings panel. There we go. So yeah, I'm going to take all of this and just kind of center it a little better. There we go. Okay, that's doing better. So if I go into this, what I want to know is do they put any values in here? Yeah, they do. They have the, like the float value. Believe it or not, I've never used the slider element before, so I don't know how they have it set up. Sound volume? No. Music volume, sound effects volume? Yeah, sound effects volume slider. Oh yeah, that's great. Okay. So I can easily make some behavior for this. I'll just make a new script. And I'll call it, I'll just call it settings. Sound settings? Settings? Yeah, settings. So the only thing that's in here right now is sound settings, but eventually it will probably also be control settings, but I'll go back and adjust it at that time. Whoa, that's not what I want. Where's my settings script? Let me close all this out. I don't need all this. This is crazy. Settings. There we go. Okay. So what do we call this? The sound slider, music volume slider. This thing is a slider component. So I probably need to use the Unity Engine UI namespace, and it has a value. So the first thing is that I want to initialize it at 1. Sort of. Oh God. Yeah. And I will probably have this just read a file. So let me say I'm using system.io, using unityengine.ui. If those watching are not Unity developers, you may wonder, how does he know to type that? I don't. I've done it. I've kind of done it before. Okay, so initialize slider value, public, no. This needs to, I'll just initialize it at 1. So I'm going to say there is the slider, music slider. This is public, and there is the sound effects slider. Yeah, sound effects slider, and I'll say volume slider because it's just a little more descriptive. Ooh. Volume slider. So we're going to call initialize slider value. Say slider values, that's better. For right now, I'm just going to do 1. No, slider dot value is 1, and sound effects volume slider dot value is 1F. And what I also need is for I need for a change event, Unity UI slider. I want the change event for the slider to trigger the update of the actual volume on the sound manager. If I can, if they support that kind of thing. So like, let me say change on value changed. Yeah, when the value of the slider is changed. On value changed. So value change check. Example, value start adds a listener to the main slider and invokes a method when the value changes. So this sets a slider on value changed, add listener. Okay, so I'm going to do that. And I'm literally going to copy part of this, but I'm going to change it. So we can't have two start functions, so instead of that, I'm going to take this out, and I'm going to say add on change listeners, which I can do inside of here, add on change listeners. And later on, I'm going to change these initialization values that are currently at 1, because what it needs to do is when the player saves the setting, it's going to write to a file, and then when you reload and it brings you back in, it needs to read the file to know what the slider values are at to display to the player. But we're going to do that later. When I say we, I mean the collective we. I mean I'm going to do that. You're not going to do that. Okay. Add change listeners. So paste this in here. This is the music volume slider. We'll do the exact same thing to the sound effects volume slider on value changed. Add listener. Delegate. Value change check. Value change check. So can I call that anything I want? I think I can. I don't think I have to do it that way. So, so instead of that, I'm going to call this update sound manager. I mean, if possible. So, and then now, once I'm getting into this is going to be an example of what I was kind of talking about earlier in the stream at the very beginning, where I was talking about, I had to redo all the sound code. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Basically, what I had to do is there's a queue, but the queue exists as static now, and we're not using mono behavior. However, the weird thing is that the mono behavior components can still communicate with the static resources that are presented here in the static class and the static variables. So for this, I'm going to say public static. I'm just going to do the same thing. Queue, and I'm going to say volume update queue. Is that what I want to do? Yeah, I think so. I'll say I'll split them up. It's just easier that way. Music volume update queue and public static queue sound effects volume update queue. Now I'll initialize the queues down here. Music volume update queue, new queue, sound effects volume queue, new queue. Now I need to go to the sound manager, which is going to pull from the queue. And do I want to have a separate routine for this? Yeah, I guess. I'm not sure how this affects performance, but I will. I'll have a separate one, and I'll say manage volume events. That's what I'll do. So I'll say Yield return null. This will run. Oh, you know, there's probably a way we could get this so that it doesn't have to run all the time. Ooh, I like that. I'm gonna put that over here. I'm gonna say public bool settings panel open. No, yeah, settings. Yeah, public bool settings panel open, and we'll initialize it to false, I think. Public static void, and oh yeah, and this variable needs to be static as well. Static bool. Public static void, change settings panel, or I'll say settings panel open, and this will be settings open. So settings panel open is equal to settings open. There we go. Oh my goodness, why is it having a problem with this? This dot settings panel open. Sound. What in the world? What did I do wrong? Settings panel open. Oh, yeah, you can't call the function. Hang on, open settings. Open setting. Yeah, you can't call the function the same as the variable. That makes sense. Okay, yeah. Settings open. Open settings. Settings open. Well, whatever. It's kind of foobar, but you know, it works. So I'll do that. Okay, so open settings. Don't need this. And what we also need is, well, settings. Yeah, I'm gonna have to have some other way to indicate that the panel is open. And I need a like a little close X as well, which I'll also pull from another scene. So we'll go to game. I'll grab this thing, and I'm going to copy and paste it right back into the main menu because I'm a lazy developer. Where did it go? Paste. Yep, there we go. Da 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 da. Just kind of put it off there to the right a little bit. Close settings button. There we go. Save. Save. I'm going to go to my main menu class real quick and just take care of a little function that needs to exist, which is to open the settings panel. Public void open settings panel. I guess that'll work for right now. Game object loading panel, loading panel. And a function to close it. There we go. And let me assign that real quick. Let's go to settings. Settings panel. Need to add the settings component. Settings. No, what am I doing? Settings? Settings button. Oh god. Oh, I've screwed up already. Okay, yeah, no, this needs to be main menu. Main menu buttons. Main menu buttons. Main menu buttons. Yes. Main menu buttons. Open. Or display or something. Where is it? What did I... Oh, it's not compiled yet. Yeah, okay. Save. Please go away. What's the issue? Invalid expression. Yes, I know. Comment that out. Yes. It's not compiling. Give it a second. Give it a second. All right. There we go. Main menu buttons. Open settings panel. Finally. Save. Save, and now I'll test it. Yay. Oh, no, not yay. It doesn't work. Variable settings. Oh, yeah. Okay. So main menu buttons and assign the settings panel. Save. Save. And also let me add the function on the close button. Main menu buttons. Close. There we go. Save. Save. And take this away. Oh, that's not good. This should be inside here. There we go. Save. Save. Play. Still doesn't work. What happened? An exception. Line 26. Music volume slider. Yes, that makes sense. I did not assign that. Music volume slider. Settings panel. Music volume slider. Music volume slider and sound effects volume slider. There we go. Now it should work. And it does. Beautiful. And I can add some sound effects. So I will say main menu buttons, sound dot q dot in queue click. Ooh, that may not work. Maybe it will. I think it will, actually. Yeah. Sound.q.enqueue. Click. And sound.q.enqueue click. So we can click around and we can hear it. That's important. Yep. These don't work yet, which is fine. Okay. Beautiful. Save. Where was I? So sound. So we have the slider values getting initialized, and we need to finish what we were doing over here. So, gosh, that was a long detour. While sound dot settings panel open. So while it's open, we'll go ahead and listen for this. Oh my goodness. That may have been a waste. Because then I still have to have a way of knowing to start the coroutine. Well, no, that's not true. I can basically have it transition outward, I think. I don't know. I'm just gonna take it out for now. While we're not live streaming, I'll probably end up addressing it. Maybe over the weekend or whatever, so that's fine. But what I will do is I'll say, while true, we're going to do the same thing that we do with the other coroutines for music and stuff, except we need to pull from the queue. So we're going to basically take this and do the same thing. And I'm gonna say yield return wait for seconds. And I'm just gonna update this like every like 1/10 of a second. I don't want this executing every frame. I think that's Hal in the chat. Oh my gosh, he's actually here during a live stream. That's amazing. How's it going? All right. So this needs to be sound and music cue. Music volume slider, music volume slider, music volume slider. Music volume update cue. Sound, music volume update cue. And for this, I'll just DQ, I think. I don't think I need to do... It's not conditional. I'm just going to take whatever the value is, and it will always be for that purpose. Music volume update cue, DQ, music source. Don't need to do this. So instead, it will be music source dot volume is equal to, and then I'm going to convert to a float. Somehow. I wonder if I can cast it. Cast music volume Q, music volume sound.music volume, sound.music volume update Q, peak, no, yeah, DQ. Why did I use DQ? Oh, that's taking it out. We don't want to do that until after we've gotten it. So let me do the peak and then the DQ. Music volume update Q peak. So I'm going to see if I can just cast the value and see if I can get that working for the music. So for this, I'm going to say sound dot music volume update Q. Oh, this is probably not going to work very well because of how many changes can occur as someone is moving the slider. Oh my goodness. But we're going to try. We're going to try it. Music volume update Q in Q. I can enqueue any object. I'll just enqueue the float. I don't need to cast. I'm not reading a string. I don't have to do that in this case. I guess the reason I did it with music and sound effects is that it made sense because I was kind of specifying event names, and that's just a little better for readability. But in this case, I'll just send the float. Just send the float right on over. Okay, so music volume slider dot value. So this will be music volume slider dot value. There we go. And we'll cue the value. But it's only updating every 10th of a second on the coroutine. I don't know if that's going to work. And I'm not going to bother casting. I'm going to trust it because I'm the one writing it. Oh, okay. I do have to cast because it comes over as, reads it as an object. So to compile, I have to cast it. Whatever. Explicit typing. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to turn the music up for those who are watching, just so that you can hear what I'm doing. Let me go to the sound manager. Oh, you know what? I'm dumb. I forgot to start the coroutine over in the sound manager. It's not doing that yet. So yeah, let me just do that here on initialization. Start coroutine. Manage volume events. Manage volume events. There we go. Okay, now it should work. It's either going to work or we're going to have really bizarre performance problems or really strange sound issues. We're about to find out. As soon as it compiles, we're going to get on the way. The play button's taking a long time. Hopefully the machine's not about to crash. I've been having a really serious issue with like this driver power state failure problem that leads to like the blue screen of death. Oh my goodness. Oh, dang it. I already know what the problem is. Yep, I crashed Unity. In the coroutine, I forgot to yield. I forgot to yield. Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, it turns out infinite loops are not very good for programs, I'm afraid. Okay, we're going to kill Unity. Sorry, everyone. Sorry. I'm going to temporarily put the screen black for a moment, but I will keep talking so that you can hear my lovely voice as I restart the program and get everything rolling again, because we just have to restart. Everything crashed. All right, we're opening the project. Oh my goodness. Okay, all right. Hang on, resizing the window. My fault. I'll go ahead and switch the view back on here. Yeah, just had to. Okay, all right, we are back. So hopefully we won't crash this time. Let's try again. There we go. Settings. Oh, yes. It works. It works. By the way, I'm clicking out of the window, which also cuts off the audio. I realize that that may sound like it's a glitch, but I'm just clicking out of the Unity window, which causes the music to stop. Okay, so I guess that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for the sound effects. Sound effects volume is equal to float sound dot sound effect volume update q dot peak sound dot sound effects update q and dq the event. There we go. Yield return new wait 4 seconds, 1/10 of a second. The 1/10 of a second thing is working okay because Hal in chat says fairly quick reboot. Fire. Yeah, so I was saying processing every 1/10 of a second for the slider change seems to be working fine. What did I forget to do? Volume, sound effect? Oh, sound. What's my sound effect source? Audio source, music source, FX source. That's the problem. FX source. There we go. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to have that running on every frame. I think that the 1/10 of a second bit works okay. And so the next step in this is to get this writing to a file, and we'll be able to read from the file. Oh, but for the sound effects volume, this is not as simple. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to have it to where when you change the value, I'm going to play a sound effect to let the world know. FX source clip. Oh my goodness. You know what? I know what to do. I'll send it right to the queue, just like everything else. Sound dot queue dot in queue, and then the click sound effect. That's what I'll do. But every time you change the value, it'll play that sound. Eventually, I should have a second sound effect that instead of just having everything be a click, but I think that'll work okay. Oh, that doesn't work at all. That's not good. Okay, so the music is working, but there, yeah. So, but okay, that's weird. The music works, but the sound effect is not playing. That's what did I do wrong? Sound manager. Sound.queue, yep. Can I not send it to the queue from inside the coroutine? I don't see why that would matter. It really doesn't make sense to me. It should work. I'm not hearing any clicks. Let me see what the sound manager is doing. Oh, music volume. Okay, so yeah, that works. Audio source. What in the world? It's not coming back on the audio source. Okay, so I screwed up somewhere. What did I do? FX source, yes. FX source, click sound, yep. That works. Sound effects volume, update queue. Am I not adding to the queue? Did I forget that? Oh gosh, yes, of course I did. Okay, sound, I guess I should only do one at a time. I'm going to say update music volume, and I'm going to say update sound effects volume. And this will be sound dot sound effects volume update Q in Q. Sound effects volume slider dot value. This will be update music volume and sound effects volume for the delegate. By the way, the Unity Engine sound support is so nice, and at some point it would be really interesting to do like something else with it. You know, I don't know what, but I just think that that would be so much fun. There's a lot you can do with games and sound. All those clicks. It's almost hypnotic. Okay, I won't do that. You're probably really annoyed by that. Oh my gosh. You know I said this is placeholder music, but that music is not bad. Okay. All right. Oh my gosh. I'm not sure how to pronounce this name in chat. Amarijan? Mind giving a quick tour of Unity's sound capabilities? I'm actually not an expert on Unity's sound capabilities. If I were, I honestly might give you a little tour, but I'm really not an expert. You know, they have this really nice mixer capability, and of course, like you can drive all of that with your C# scripts. And of course, like, you know, in a scene, so if you're doing like a 3D game, you can attach audio sources to different objects in the 3D scene, and then of course you can have like a 3D sound thing going on, and it can get really interesting if you get like a really amazing sound setup. So if you get a room, if you play a game that is really audio driven inside of a room that has a really nice surround sound system, as well as like a lot of like noise cancellation or noise dampening qualities inside the room, you could probably create a really awesome game just with Unity's audio support that could do really remarkable things with soundscapes through a variety of different interactable elements. You know, different audio sources that maybe zoom past you, or things working in tandem with one another. In fact, there was a really good prototype that I saw, and I forget the name of it now. But there are people who have done games that are based very strongly on sound. And so like what you can do in some of these is like you can basically manipulate 3D objects. You manipulate like the size of the 3D object, which then like alters like the pitch, or like the in some cases like the rhythm of things. And then you can kind of combine different objects and manipulate those, and then before you know it, you have a combination of something that's like visual, as well as you're manipulating the whole range of sound that is taking place in this 3D environment. I wish I could remember what the prototype was that I saw, but people have done some really incredible things design-wise. And anyway. Okay. So now I need to write to a file. So we're going to do that, I guess. We need to work out the save button functionality. So settings. So I'm going to do a save function in here. And I also need to do some initialization work. So for this, I think for this I can keep this private. Void open sound config file, or I'll say read sound config file. Read sound config file. And the names, I have reading from a file as well, I believe. Yep, I do. I can use a stream reader, same as I did here. So, but this is a totally different data structure, so I can't just like reuse this. I will say sound settings .csv. Yep, sound settings. And you're about to see me crack open Excel and put in some sound settings. I don't know why I said that, but you're about to see it. So this will be music volume, sound volume. We are not adding it to any lists because we are not generating names this time. Line split, yes. Music volume. Actually, maybe I will have a list. No, I'm not. I'll use 0, 1. I'm just going to put the raw numbers in here. Yep. Values 0. If it does not equal sound volume, value 0. I only need one line. Oh gosh, this is a little bit different, I guess. Line, reader, read line. Oh yeah, I'll just do one read line. I don't need a split. Or do I? Values, line dot split. Oh yeah, it is splitting the values. I do want that. So I'll say, yeah, values 0 and values 1. This will be. How do I want to do this? Read sound config file. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Read sound config file. Actually, yeah. I'll put it in here. I don't care. I'll put it in here. Music volume slider.value is equal to, I'm going to cast this as a float. Hopefully that works. I don't know if it will, but we're going to try. Sound fx music volume slider value is equal to float values. That doesn't work. Cannot convert type string to float. Well, that's a shame, isn't it? Okay, so we're going to have to do some kind of conversion here. Or is that because I made it an array? Well, the split function is a string function, so yeah, that's true. Okay. Well, isn't this awkward? Okay. You're saying in chat, you're saying string.parse. Oh yeah, I think you're right. String.parse? No, not string reader. String.parse. System string. No, I don't think system string converts. Because I know there's system convert, and then we have these functions to double. But I need conversion. Yeah, I don't think there is a toFloat function. Here, I'm going to look it up real quick. I'm going to look it up. C#. Oh, convert string to float. It's float.parse. Because everything else is done a different way, but for some reason floats will operate off of different rules. Float.parse. There it is. You said I was close with string.parse. Yeah, you were pretty close. You're pretty close. String.parse. Okay. Now, if Hal is still watching, this is his favorite part. I'm going to open up Excel. And we're going to do game design in Excel. Okay, so I said music volume. Music volume? Yeah, music volume. We'll do 1.0 and 1.0. File. What is this called? Sound settings.csv. Yeah. Save as. Browse. Resources. I think I just save it in resource. CSV. Sound settings. So they're going to initialize at 1. There we go. Oh my goodness. Let's see if that works. So it goes to 1. Which is not much different than before, but I think it's reading from the file successfully because we're not getting an exception. And that's what I'm telling it to do. So then with save, we're going to write to the file. Stream writer. How about stream writer? Using writer, stream writer. I might have to look this up. I don't remember how stream writer works. Stream writer, new stream writer. Yeah, I think we got to do like using blah blah blah. Here, I'm just going to take this and replace it with writer and see if I can do like a. Wait a second. Oh yeah, and then this as well. Oh, and instead of reader, of course, this should be stream writer, and then this should be called writer, and then this should be called stream writer. Stream writer. It sounds like a TV show or something. Writer dot write. Oh my gosh, is it really that easy? You're kidding me. It really might be. Oh my gosh, it's that easy. Okay. Well, we'll find out if it's that easy. We're about to find out for sure. I'm going to write... oh gosh, I hope this doesn't add it to the end of the file. It might. I don't know what kind of crazy shenanigans they may have in the StreamWriter class. Okay, but I'll say I'll write the music volume slider dot value to string plus comma plus sound effects volume slider dot value to string. I think that's all I need. So let me go into here. Oh yeah, and let me also do this real quick. I'm going to do the reset function, public void reset. And I'm going to have this set music volume slider value to 1 and sound effects volume slider value to 1. There we go. Okay. So then I need to select the button and have this write to settings, panel, settings, save and reset. That is not what I meant to write. Settings, settings. Reset. There we go. So for those who are joining the stream a little bit late, you missed like a huge like playtesting session that I did during the first half hour. It was pretty awesome. The game is like basically working right now. I definitely want to change this click thing, but I'm not going to do it just yet. Yeah, I see that the link you're linking me in chat. I'll check it out in a second. Okay, so I'm going to set this down to like halfway. I'll set this down to like, I'll keep this like, keep it there. Oh my gosh, that click, that's a huge problem. I gotta get rid of that. Okay, I'm going to say save. Oh yeah, you know what I forgot to do? Well, hey, hang on. That probably worked. That probably wrote to the file. Let me check. Let's go to the file. Yep, it worked. It worked. There it is in Excel. Beautiful. There's our settings. And now, when I close that out and I restart, our settings should still be there. Yes. 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 Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Close. Okay. All right, all right. So, for this, I also need to send a sound effect. Click. And we're also going to say this dot game object set active false. So we're going to turn it off. And I think that's all I need. Reset also needs a click sound. Sound.q.enqueue click. So to play the test sound effect, that's a little bit of an issue right now. For right now, I'm just going to take this out. We don't want that in there every time there's a change event, because there's a lot of change events going on. It's a little excessive. There we go. It's interesting too, because if you have multiple change events, like if you actually do slide this, it's generating all those events, and then it creates kind of this fading effect because it's reading things out of the queue, I guess, how many times I guess maybe 10 times a second? Yeah, 10 times a second. So it creates like a stepped transition. Well, it works well enough for right now. I'm definitely going to have to come back and make adjustments. Gosh, yeah, the music is not bad, I gotta say. Okay, save. Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, so I will check out this link of yours. String interpolation in C#. This looks like wonderful leisure time reading. I have to say, kind of thing that, you know, I would curl up and read in the nice comfy chair I have back there. Let's read about C# string interpolation tonight. Hal in the chat says nice music. Yes, it is, isn't it? Can you believe that that's royalty-free music? I just pulled off the web. Like, it's really, really nice. In chat, you're asking, what's that beverage? This is a sugar-free soda because when you're sitting for hours in coding, why do you need the calories, really? It is a Zevia brand soda, by the way. And no, I am not endorsed by them. Before anyone watching the recording wonders, this is not an endorsement. So yeah, in chat you're saying if I do if I apply, let me see what you're talking about. Hang on, let me go back to the link. So you're saying if I use string interpolation, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I don't have to do the concatenation. Yeah, I know. I don't know if I care, to be honest. Do you happen to know what's more performant? Like, is it more performant if I do it this way? You're asking, do I color coordinate with my shirt? No, I do not color coordinate with my shirt. But I can see what you're talking about. It's pretty close. So yes, you're saying with string interpolation the compiler handles that. I don't know that. I would be interested. I would be interested to know if that is actually what happens. But I don't know that for certain. I know that in Python, like there's things about string concatenation where if you do it one way versus another, it makes a gigantic difference. It all goes to IL and then gets optimized. What is IL? What are you talking about there? I don't know what IL stands for. Maybe I'm just dumb, but I don't know what it stands for. Yeah, so if I were to do a string with the interpolation and say hello, some variable that doesn't exist, it will throw a compiler error. So yes, it's done at compile time, and IL is intermediate language. It all goes to intermediate language and then gets optimized, you're saying. Okay, well, maybe I should develop a new habit, I guess. Maybe I should. So you're, so you're saying I could basically just throw it all into there. Okay, well, you know what? In the spirit of chat participation, because I do like how much is going on in the chat right now, I will oblige, and we'll do this. We'll do some string interpolation. We'll try it out. Okay, so this is saying all I need to do is do like $, blah, blah, blah. You're saying, well, you don't have to. Yeah, I know, but I'm interested now. So do I have to do like a variable syntax on this? Yeah, so I have to do like curly braces, I guess. So I have to be like do like this. And then do this. And then take this out. And then do this. What? Am I not escaping something? Interpolated strings is not available in C# 4. Unity doesn't support that C# feature, my friend. Okay, well, I was going to try it. I was going to do it. You were going to be a part of making this game with string interpolation, but alas, Unity does not support. Yeah, you're just saying that objectively there isn't a performance hit. You're saying, yep, CLR is core language runtime. And you're saying what utter trash? Yeah, I mean, it's old C# is basically what it is. And by the way, I like Unity. I really like Unity a lot. But I am going to be getting away from Unity over time, just so that I can gain a better understanding at like a lower level. I want to know in detail how a lot of the older stuff was put together, because frankly, like games from the 90s that are doing way more in computational terms in a lot of cases than like a lot of the stuff built with Unity these days, and some of what Unreal has done put together. It just does it way more efficiently, and I'm interested to know in practical terms why that's the case. So Unity's fine, C# is fine, but anyway, Hal was asking, why do you cue sounds? Well, so I don't think you were here at the beginning of the stream, but basically the reason that I'm handling all this stuff through cues, there's a few reasons. So one, when I do everything in the sound manager through cues, first of all, when the sound manager runs, basically what it does at initialization time is it starts up the manager and it spins off a few coroutines. And the coroutines, basically the way they work is they're doing a little bit of processing every frame, but they don't have to do everything every frame. So in other words, like when I go down here to manage music, here's the main menu state, and it goes through these different things that may be happening with the main menu, and it may actually like fade out. So if you go from like in-game and you go back into the main menu, it may fade out the in-game music and then start the main menu music, etc. But when you have these different sound events that are happening, you don't want to basically like you don't want to hold up a frame. It's a combination of things. You don't want to hold up a frame by sending a command to play a sound intra-frame, I guess. And the other thing, is that when we're putting it into a queue, it basically has to do with like the way that the dependencies are referenced. So like. And I talked about this a little bit earlier. I'll try to explain it again, right? But like, so I have this class, it's called sound, right? And this is a static class. And so this is referenced globally, essentially, is the way that this is set up. It's referenced globally, and it's also like, when it's being referenced in memory, like everything everywhere can basically have access to this in memory. And queues, to a certain extent, are just an easy way to arrange it. So you can't send things directly to the sound manager because the sound manager is an instance object and it runs in mono behavior. I talked about this during the beginning of the stream, but basically like this has to exist separately on its own, and other things cannot access this because it's an instance object. So to get things over to the sound manager, I'm using queues. It's not the only way to do it. I could make call-ins directly, but I have queues happen, in part because if there's a whole bunch of stuff that happens, I don't want the frame rate bogged down by a whole bunch of stuff hitting the sound manager. I want it to go first in and first out, and I want the sound manager to chew through it in the coroutine as it can, without holding up the frame rate. So you would have to do a whole lot to like flood the queue in order for you to have any problems. In fact, I'm not even sure if you would have a problem. The main problem you would have if you flooded the queues with like a ton of stuff is you would run out of memory. But the amount of stuff that you would have to throw into these queues in order to get that to happen with the scale of this game is monstrous. I don't think it's even possible. honestly. It's not even with that slider change event. Like, I had it playing a cajillion click sounds, but it would still play them. It was just playing them 10 times a second as you were adjusting the sound effect slider. So, anyway. But yeah, you said, I think I get most of what you're saying. Thanks. Yeah, yeah. But it's a great question because there's so many things about like what Unity and C# is doing. And this goes back to like some of what we were talking about before, where I just like, I don't know how Unity is like handling all of this, and that does bother me. And I do want to get better with understanding the underlying implementation of things. So anyway. But that's the trade-off that you make whenever you choose Unity. Unity is meant to handle these things for you, and hopefully it does a great job. But then if it doesn't do a great job, like, you're just left like scratching your head and trying to like figure out, how to kind of work around things. Then in chat, you're saying why Unity is slow. C# through proprietary mono runtime Unity bought 10 years ago, through CLR 2.0, ancient .NET runtime, through cross-platform bridging provided through C++. With MS corelib mono offshoot all going through Kalling to generate bitcode. Bitcode? Do you mean bytecode? Bitcode that has no chance of being optimized. Yeah, and I mean, basically yes. And I talked about that when I first started the stream as well. You're saying no bitcode. Okay, well, I don't know what that means, but whatever. Fair enough. So, but yeah, like that is exactly right, is that when you're relying on mono and mono behavior, there's a bunch of stuff you can't do. However, what I also said is that Unity's entity component system, that is where you're able to split work across cores and you're able to implement the C# job system, it does work a lot better. And very slowly they are advancing the ability to use newer versions of the .NET runtime. And they also do a lot of work with converting what you write in C# into C++ and then compiling it. So a lot of people, you're not actually running C# with a lot of what you do inside Unity. Because they have what's called IL to CPP. And so a lot of what you do in C# and Unity is actually being converted and compiled to C++. Now, that being said, the drawback there is that you're not compiling to optimized C++. IL to CPP, as they call it, is converting your C# code however it converts it. And if they don't convert it in a way that is optimized, then you're still not getting all the possible benefits, right? And there are still times where like garbage collection is called, and like, you'll just have like the frame rate drop for no apparent reason, and then you look at it and you're like, oh, it's garbage collector, and I don't have control over the garbage collector, right? So anyway, they are making a lot of progress, though, as time goes on, and I have been pretty impressed with the amount of achievement that has been done by Unity with all their features and performance improvements and all of the... I mean, they do so much based on what you do here. But, when I think about it, like, and this is part of why I want to get away from the engine, right? When I think about it, I feel like they're doing all of this stuff with your C# just so that you won't write C++, because, oh my god, if you were to ever learn C++, maybe you would figure out that you just don't have to use Unity. But the way of thinking is they probably genuinely, honestly believe, like, what we give you with the editor and with the sound support and with 3D graphics, etc., like, it is worth the trade-off. You will be a more productive developer, especially if you're a solo indie, if you use this engine and, learn the engine instead of learning all the low-level stuff. But anyway. and you're saying you'll lose all chance of optimization because of that conversion. You're going from C# to intermediate language to C++ to LLVM, low-level virtual machine, IR to bitcode. That's 3 horrible hops. Yeah, I mean, potentially, yeah, it is. And then Hal is asking, so what's next for this project? Great question, great segue, because I'm going to go ahead and end the stream. My voice is getting coarse. I have run out of my sugar-free oh, wait, I have a little bit left. But I'm just about out of my sugar-free soda. So what is next is now that the sound settings are done, well, not done, but you know, I have something working now. The next step is to start implementing some other systems. So I need to basically like resolve a couple things that I talked about earlier in the stream. You can go and check the recording whenever this is done if you're interested, but I have basically a few things to finish out, and then I'm going to start adding what I refer to as event systems. So let me show you something really quick. And in chat, you're saying, it was a pleasure talking with you. Hope your game goes well. Yes, thank you so much. If you want to hang around for a second, I'm going to show you this. So the market needs to... basically, when I'm talking about events, there are going to be events that will cause things like market crashes, as well as like different decision. So basically, there's going to be like decision events. There will be market events. So markets may have crashes. They may have booms. There will also be among the 2 different types of events that I just mentioned there, like things that carry on multiple turns. There will also be things that affect a single turn. And you're asking, are you building a 2D game or 3D? Yeah, so this is 2D. Right, so it's basically like a turn-based city builder. You build out different buildings. You look to other people that exist in the world, and you try to offer them things like money, and perhaps later you may offer them resources to try and attract them to your town. Once they're in your town and you've built some businesses, you can basically assign them to the businesses, and then they start working. And then as you advance through the turns, you're generating income. You can also invest in the market. So I'm basically redoing the demo from earlier in the stream. You can invest in the market, and then the market may return, a rate of return. So it's kind of like, it's almost like investing in a mutual fund in the real world. So then when you advance through the turns, you will see different things affected, right? So you may see that your population changed, you collected some tax revenue off of the businesses, you had expenses to run the city, and then when you go back to and like look at the market, like the rate of return is shifting around on you because things are happening out in the simulation, and you can see the investment has gone up and so on. And so that's basically the game. There are only 5 building types, and they all cost different things. They all generate different incomes. They have different numbers of employees that you can assign to them. But between that and then the market, those are the 2 main systems that are kind of working in the prototype of the game right now. And later we will build it out. But it is super simple. It's, as I said, 2D. You're basically just kind of like dropping these sprites down, and you build out your city just like this. Your city just exists on this one screen. Super straightforward, right? And that's it. And eventually you'll build out a city. And I'll probably do something else on this kind of canvas that you're kind of building stuff on. But yeah, that's basically it. It's isometric sprites. So there you go. All right, thank you to everyone for joining me. I think I still have a discount code. Yep, I sure do, right up there. I'm looking at OBS Studio. But yeah, I still have a discount code for the Elega Corp store. If you want to go to elegacorp.com and support the development, you can get 15% off if you use the Call King discount code at checkout. I really would appreciate it if you want to do that. And you'll also be supporting a great brand with Elega Corporation, which is my company that is also developing this game. And thank you so much to everyone for participating in chat. Remember that you can also go to elegacorp.com to see the stream schedule, to see when we'll be streaming next. I think next week it'll be Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, aka 8 p.m. Eastern Time next week. But normally I stream on Thursdays every evening at 7 once a week. So anyway, thank you so much. I will go ahead and close things out.